My name is Carol Latto. I'm a full-time chiropractor and I work in private practice both in York and Pocklington. I run two multidisciplinary chiropractic clinics alongside my chiropractic husband. I'm a fellow of the BCA. I'm also a fellow of the Royal College of Chiropractors, and I am a PRT trainer for the Royal College, as well as serving on the PRT committee. I started my career as a chiropractic locum because I wanted to learn, to experience, I suppose, as wide a range of clinical settings as I could. I wanted to work out what the scope of chiropractic practice was, and I suppose just find what style would suit me. I didn't feel confident initially as a new graduate to really find my own way, and that's why I chose to be a locum initially. It was an interesting time when I graduated. It was from Bournemouth at the ACC, and it was in 1990. At that time, there was no GCC, there was no Royal College of Chiropractors, there was no formal CPD. In fact, there was no PRT systems that were set up. Um, there were only a few hundred chiropractors who were actually practicing in the UK at a time, so it was a very different profession. Um, there was a BCA, and I did join in 1990 when I graduated. And one of the things I loved about the BCA at the time, particularly, was the fact that it gave you the opportunity to attend two conferences every year. It was great for the learning and the lectures, and it was also a great way to meet your peer group. And just that was such a useful thing. It was a great help because it could be quite isolating working as a chiropractor because there were just so few of us. We were so few and far between. Within a few years, I'd also progressed with the BCA and I joined as a committee member, was on the BCA Council. My first role with them was actually as BCA conference organiser. By that time, it was the mid 90s, and it was quite an interesting time in the profession. I picked my moment. We had the birth of the General Chiropractic Council, and we also, shortly afterwards, had the start of the Royal College of Chiropractors. But there was also a new language that was emerging for chiropractors. And although at the time, as I say, it seemed quite new and scary, in many ways, the terms nowadays are just routine for us. But words like reflective practice, self-directed learning, continuous professional development, they were all very new sounding to us. So I took myself off and did a PG certificate, postgraduate course, which was pretty much geared around just understanding self-directed learning and the learning theories, the learning cycles, because these were things that we knew that UK chiropractors had to take on board and get used to doing because they would be part of the requirement for the GCC. In life, in reality, I would say that lifelong learning, as I say, isn't a scary concept. I think chiropractors have always had a real thirst for knowledge. We're problem solvers for a day job. It's what we do clinically. And, you know, it's that mixture of understanding evidence base, understanding what the sort of the research, what the knowledge base is, and applying a clinical judgment. So, you know, there were changes in the learning, but a lot of what we did, we were doing already. As practice life got more settled and I found my style, the clinics got busy and we needed to recruit associates. Initially, I was recruiting associates without any particular structure or system because there really wasn't any around. When the Royal College of Chiropractors developed their PRT program with the option of becoming a PRT trainer, effectively being a mentor for the PRT candidates, I jumped at the chance. It just seemed like such a great opportunity to have a lovely structure to work to. And initially, I thought of it from my own point of view and my husband's that it would really help with clinical life, bedding in somebody from undergraduate to graduate and really starting a career off for the benefit of the clinic and the patients as well. But I was actually quite surprised how many of the prospective associates were really, really actively seeking a mentor and really valued that concept of a named person, somebody to go to, and actually the structure that the Royal College had put together with a PRT program. So I became a PRT trainer. Becoming a trainer is actually pretty straightforward. The Royal College is a learning postgraduate educational body, and they do a good job of putting on a good range of learning sort of modules. There's telephone support that's structured for trainers. There are conferences that they run anyway, and as part of that, you can attend PRT trainer forums. The office staff, the actual Royal College of Chiropractors team, are also absolutely brilliant at helping you get started. And there are plenty of trainers around who give you that peer-to-peer support when it's just a bit of, how did you handle this? So I've not come across this. So there's plenty of ways to get into it. It's pretty straightforward, which is lovely. And as a benefit, you can actually count a lot of that towards your own CPD. In fact, a lot of the PRT program can also be relevant for your own CPD, not just is something you're giving the candidates that you take on, the associates, but also it can be part of your own learning as well. What I love myself about being a PRT trainer is that I think you're simply doing for a new graduate what you do in daily life for your patients. You're listening, you're understanding, you're problem solving, sharing your information, signposting, your using your experience to basically support somebody to progress. And I think if you enjoy and get satisfaction out of your clinical life and seeing patients get better and just the benefits of them, coming from a tricky place to a really good place, it's exactly the same when you've got a new graduate. So there are things in the PRT program to do with having chats with them about cases to make sure that they've got opportunities to have regular discussions. They can be 5 minutes, they can be planned, they can be informal through telephone, email, or they can just be lunchtime breaks. So it's easy to do. Being observed and also undertaking some observations for the graduate is also part of it, and simple to do. It's what we often do when we're working in clinics ourselves. And sometimes just helping them identify relevant referral sources, or maybe just helping them apply some new learning that they've obtained. They have to attend national conferences and also regional one as part of the PRT program. And the Royal College also provides some really useful structured meetings for them, covering lots of things that are practical help for the graduates when they first come in to work in clinics. So there is learning that sometimes they just need a little bit of a steer on, or just a little bit of encouragement to apply into the practice. There are some forms, to be sure. There's always a little bit of something. The main form that people sort of work with is a candidate audit form, but really it's just a simple progress check. So it's taking a baseline, working out what they're coping with, helping them just maybe understand how to improve on some areas they're struggling with. And the beauty of it is at the end of the year, when you look back on where they've come from, it's just really nice to see them just take confidence from how much they actually have come on. So even though there are still always challenges, it is about lifelong learning. They sort of get a lot of benefit from using that form, although initially it might seem you just have to take a little bit of time to get used to it. Our associates have all stayed as Royal College of Chiropractor members, having completed the PRT program. And I think they have got into that lifelong learning habit, and they contribute to us maintaining the Royal College of Chiropractors quality marks, both in clinical management and also in patient partnership. In fact, when we first started with our initial application for those, it was actually our new associates who pretty much put in the bulk of the work on the audits and on some of the outcome measures, because these were actually new for me. And I think that's really one of the pluses about having a really structured, open system and a good relationship with the PRT graduates, is that it's a learning environment that works two ways, and they certainly helped us complete a lot of the CMQM and the PPQM to start with. So it was a win-win. Although I started working as a PRT trainer with my own associates, I still work as a trainer, but I'm currently at the moment supporting somebody remotely who's been unable to access a trainer in the particular clinic situation they find themselves in. It's quite easy to do. It's probably got even easier with all the changes in the last year or two, where there's so much online learning, remote learning. That type of support system's become much more established. So we do a lot of things just using telephone, email, and just online systems. And we've even attended the same webinar, so we could chat through and share some of the educational learning points afterwards. And that's actually been quite interesting to get a different viewpoint. And, again, I learn things from that as well. So to me, it's not an onerous or really time consuming thing being a PRT trainer. I would really love to have had that amount of support, that structure to the program when I first graduated. I'm immensely grateful for the chiropractors who have helped me over the way, but it came in pockets, and you had to go and find it an awful lot. So to be able to just actually provide that sort of consistent support from a named person to help somebody transit from being an undergraduate to a confident chiropractor, I think is a great thing to do, and it brings me a lot of satisfaction. Thank you.